Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Magic Beans podcast. This is episode number 157. My name is Cracker. I will be your host this evening, and I'm joined by my good mate, Chewy. How are you?
I'm well, mate. How are you?
Good, good.
It's been a couple of weeks.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. That's all right. I didn't mind the little break in between. It's been all right. But a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. All the cards for the new set and a bunch of stuff that's happening. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, really excited. The Phyrexia All Will Be One set looks pretty gas, I gotta say. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on some of the cards, you know, physically and virtually on Arena. And seeing what brews we can come up with. And I'm always excited for a new limited format.
Yes, it should be good. We're going to have a chance to play that very soon. We were going to be joined by Shorty, but just as we're getting ready to record, his power went out and his internet has died. So, GG's, yeah. I guess.
Yeah. I guess he can get an early night.
That's all good. All right, so, mate, before we jump into talking about All Will Be One, where could people find some of those spicy new cards that are coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. To get your spicy singles and maybe some sealed product with, or even some giveaways, head over to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and that will take you straight to Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar Facebook group where you can bid on physical Magic cards 7 nights a week, primo auctions on the weekend. They have the just win it now lots where you can just type sold, first in, first served, and they're super competitive, lots of play sets. And yeah, over the next week or so, we'll be seeing some spice from the Phyrexia set. You know, you'll be able to pick up, you know, one of the 37 different printings of Elish Norn and things like that. So Pat will be cranking out packs and getting things to you super quickly. Great postage. Full-time auctioneer means that stuff runs really, really smoothly. So yeah, head over to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and when you do win, please do us a favour and tell them that the beans sent you.
Awesome. So, mate, we were just chatting and there's a PT coming up.
Oh, so a PT, so Arena Alchemy, like everyone sitting in their pajamas at home again? Is that what's happening?
Exactly. That's the one with the hot singles in your area pop-ups.
Yes.
Again.
Oh my gosh.
No, this is the first paper Pro Tour, back to kind of the old school style.
Incredible. So it's in Philly, I believe.
That is correct.
Oh, Philly's going to be a bit of a buzz at the moment for any NFL fans. They've just qualified for the Super Bowl, so they're up against Kansas City, I believe. So for our American viewers, and certainly our sponsor Pat is a Phillies fan, so he's been up and about for the last week or so. So great time to be in Philly. Well, I'm not sure when the Super Bowl's actually on. It could be a great time or a somber time.
Yeah, it could be a disaster.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
No, I'm sure they'll win, Pat. They'll definitely win.
Go
the Eagles, right?
Eagles.
The Eagles?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we know about NFL and stuff.
Yeah.
We do know a little bit about Pioneer, though, which is what's going to be played.
Yeah, excited by this. The format's like pretty good, I think, and like it's certainly got its pillars and it's, you know, the decks that have got the targets on their heads, but interested to see what the pros come up with.
I think it will be Nykthos.
Yeah.
is definitely one of the cards you'll see activated over that weekend. But it's running on the 17th to 19th, so a couple of weeks away. And it'll be interesting to see if any of the cards from one will make an impact. I think they will. I think there's some really good stuff in there. Fastlands,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But... like that's the obvious one, right? Like, I mean, I'm not. That's not exactly a hot take, but there's some spice, and I think, and maybe we'll talk about it towards the end of the podcast. Maybe there's some, not just updates to existing archetypes, but potentially some critical mass of particular things that might bring some fringe decks sort of up a little bit, perhaps. So we'll see how that goes. So. Yeah, interesting. Watch this space.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a later cast for sure. But yeah, always excited about Paper Magic.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing like coverage again of Paper Magic and, you know, them trying to fill dead air while people are shuffling. So
Yeah, there's no fetch lands in Pioneer at least, so yeah.
No, that is true. That is true. But as someone who's played Lotus Field, you do spend a lot of time looking through your deck for things.
Yeah, you've even accidentally. The only person I know who's accidentally played Lotus Field. That's
yeah. Well, you know, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, that's good stories. It's good. That Paper Magic. I mentioned that I love it, and also mentioned in last fortnight's cast that one of the reasons we're going to these, change up the schedule of our creation is to get to more Magic events, and we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Yeah, I think all of us. So I bought my ticket. Have you got yours?
I sure do.
Yep, and Polywaffle and Shorty have got theirs, and even Disco Stew. So 5 Beans will be rocking up at Games Portal in Ringwood here in Melbourne, and we're gonna jam the pre-release.
We're gonna jam the pre-release on Friday night at the reasonable old man time of 7 p.m. instead of midnight.
It's so much better.
So good.
Yeah.
Do you remember coming home at like 4 in the morning, 4:30 after playing like 4 rounds of pre-release and then talking garbage afterwards and just being my kids waking me up at 6?
I remember, so pre-kids, I remember going to midnight pre-release at Metagames in near the Vic Market in Melbourne, and midnight pre-release straight into draft into the next sealed. So 4 rounds of pre-release, 3 rounds of draft, 4 rounds of pre-release, then drove home, and was I feeling seedy after that, but it was pretty epic. But yeah, 7 means that, we're home, sometime after midnight generally, because, we do love a chat. And if you are planning on heading to that store, I know we've got a few people. I know Lyndon's there, and Tom D's a regular at that store, so looking forward to catching up with some members of our community there as well. So if you're thinking about going to the pre-release, come to this one, hang out, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, be unreal. So that's basically what we're going to chat about tonight. Is we're going to talk about pre-releases, sealed, and what we're seeing in this limited archetype, and what we're sort of expecting to see from the format. So we've done this before. It's not new if you've been listening to us for a while. We tend to have a look at what makes a good sealed deck, and we'll go over that because we know that not everyone listens all the time, so welcome if you're new, but we'll kind of go through that, and then what we're looking for and what drives our directions in Limited. So Chewy, you have played far and away more Limited than I have. So what is sealed and what makes us a good sealed deck?
Okay, yeah, no worries. So you've got limited experience, so I get that. I love limited. It's how I build my collection on Arena. It's how I learn the cards. It's how you identify some spicy interactions which help you in Constructed. And it's just a whole new challenge, levels the playing field. It doesn't matter about wild cards. It doesn't matter if you can afford the expensive cards. Everyone's on the level playing field. Sometimes you open bombs or you don't, but it's a more even experience, I find, and it rewards skill in your deck building, which is a challenge I really enjoy. So what happens if you've never been to a pre-release before, you never played sealed, you sit down, you get a pre-release kit, which is a cool box. It's got a spin down life counter D20 in it. You have a promo, which will be a foil date stamped card from the set, and you get 6 booster packs. And you crack those packs, and you build yourself a 40-card deck. And then you battle. Then, the pairings you up and you play 4 rounds, and prizes based on how well you do. And depending on the place you go for your pre-release, it'll be, 2 packs per win. And some players will just go, look, let's intentionally draw and just get a pack each, because it's just about the boosty packies rather than the record. But, it's all dependent. Most people play the pre-release just because it's fun. It's not particularly spiky, and it's a really great introduction if you discovered Magic during the pandemic and you've been, playing on Arena, and you haven't been to an F&M or an in-person event. The pre-release is 100% a fantastic place to start there. So great introduction to the game, but also if you are an experienced player, you can really scratch that limited itch and that deck building itch. And yeah, limited Magic is generally pretty good. And this set looks great. It looks like a really good limited set. So yeah, and so that's kind of what Sealed is. If you've never built a Sealed deck before, or you're a bit like Cracker and you it's something that you've done, at pre-releases, or we've cubed a few times or drafted a few sets, but you're not a regular drafter, you can look for bombs, you can look for particular synergies, but there is... I've gone 4-0 at multiple pre-releases by just building a good deck, like 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops, some removal spells, good mana, and just playing games of Magic. It's sometimes you've got to go deep because your pool's a bit weak and you've got to lean into your synergies. But sometimes you just, if you play a spell every turn and have some removal spells, you'll win a bunch of games of Magic. So I think that's really, really important. And we'll get into it a little bit later on, but I think this set probably going to be like a lot of 3-colored decks looking for those synergies. But apart from the rare lands, there's not a huge amount of good mana fixing. So, yeah, making sure that you're not evenly spread. Have a good mana base. If you're, Abzan colours, white, black, and green, try not to be evenly spread. Be green, black, splashing white, or, whatever iteration of those colour combinations it is. So, if you...
and make sure your splash is at the top end. You can't splash your early creatures.
Yeah,
it's
exactly right.
Setting yourself up for disaster there. So yeah, you want to be base green or whatever, because you've usually got the most chance for ramp and things. But look at the depth of your pool and play as many of your rares as you can that are reasonable. Is kind of the main thing I look for. Is when I'm splitting out my packs, I sort by colours, pulling my rares out, stick them at the top of my playmat and kind of work through there, and then look at the depth of the colours. And honestly, sometimes it's literally, I've got 20 blue cards and 6 white ones. Well, I guess I'm not playing white because I just don't have enough, unless they're a couple of absolute insane bombs, like an Elish Norn or whatever, something insane.
Yeah, and so, I've opened insane bombs. So I remember...
And not played them, yeah.
Yeah. I remember opening the 6-mana Chandra that, gives...
Oh, the uncounterable one and all that stuff, yeah.
But in my entire pool of 6 booster packs, I had literally 4 other red cards.
Yep.
And she's double red, and it's just I don't have the mana fixing, so my deck would be worse if I played her, which is insane, but yeah, that's kind of how it is, so... Yeah. But you mentioned...
The other thing... Yeah,
yep.
sorry.
No,
the other thing I was going to say is when you're opening your sealed pool, just make sure that Shorty isn't near you, because he has the worst luck I've ever seen with sealed pools. So don't... If he offers to switch your pre-release packs, don't do it. You'll end up with rubbish.
I've never seen anything like it. Just quietly,
we love bad beat stories and we love to make running jokes. This one is legit. It's not even an exaggeration. Shorty consistently has the worst. He still plays well. He still outperforms the quality of his pools, but they are just always absolute piles.
There was a Grand Prix we went to, and Shorty and I travelled around Melbourne for a month playing in Grand Prix trials, and he won one and got 2 buys, and he opened the worst sealed pool I think I've ever seen. We got back to the hotel at night, and he was just his record was 2-2 because he had 2 buys, all right, and so he went 0-2 drop effectively, and he was pretty flat. And he's like, Chewy, take a look at this. You've built more decks than me. Have a look. And he didn't show me his deck. He unsleeved it and handed me his pool. I built the best I could possibly build out of what was just a dumpster fire of a seal pool. Mm-hmm. We were 2 cards different. Mm-hmm. Right? So he did literally the best he could do, and it was just absolute garbage. So that does happen, but that is absolutely the exception. And, some people and Magic players like to, get caught in hyperbole and look at the extremes. I've played, I'm going to say thousands of sealed events when I look at like arena events and playing for like 19 years. Right, I've played a lot. It's happened to me once that I can recall. Right, so it's absolutely the exception. But yeah, don't sit in a Shorty. That's just a good rule in general. So you mentioned the rares, and you take a look at your rares, and that's a big splashy bomb. Like in sealed, the big splashy rares do win games. But something that we talk about in limited and some advice in general, whether it be draft or sealed, or whatever limited format you're playing, the way that Wizards design sets is they'll have multicolored uncommons that we refer to them as signpost uncommons, where they kind of tell you what those colors do, that combination of colors do. And when we say signpost, that means it's like, okay, this does a thing. I want to look for these synergies, and you can, you'll have a number of those uncommons, and then, you're looking at all the things that you said with the depth, with your rares, with all of those things. Then you look at your mana, what can you support? But it's a real fundamental, coloured, everything that you said. The next thing I would look at is what signpost uncommons I have. So we're going to run through those a bit tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing with why they're called signpost uncommons is in draft more than in sealed, because if you get one handed to you third or fourth pick, that's literally a signpost that you're getting handed the cards in those colors, and you should start paying really close attention to seeing if you can draft that deck. Obviously, in sealed, you open what you've got and you do the best you can. But that's kind of the other side of it. But yeah, let's have a quick chat. So what I might do is quickly run through the color combos and kind of the overarching theme for all of them. And then we can jump in and start to have a look at each of the individual cards and what we're seeing and what you might look to build around. So there is blue-white, which is artifacts. Blue-black, which is corrupted and proliferate, so more control-y side. There's red-green with oil counters and kind of a more mid-range. Green-white, which is the go wide. I know we've talked about a bunch of the white cards that spit out the 1/1 toxic can't block creatures. So they kind of go wide and toxic. White-black is toxic and corrupted, which we've chatted about as the mechanic where you get paid off for your opponent having 3 or more poison counters. There's blue-red, which is almost always spellslinger, so instant and sorceries, and then oil counters. There's black-green, which is toxic and reanimation. Red-white, which is equipment and just always the most aggressive deck. And then blue-green, which is stompy with toxic and a bit of proliferate and ramp. So that's kind of what you would expect to see. Those are the sort of themes for each of those.
There's nothing like sort of out of the ordinary. Like this is all things that these colours do. Like obviously with the all will be one spin on it with, toxic and oil counters and things like that. But it's a, blue-white artifacts, blue-black control, red-white equipment. Like, it's all pretty familiar in that sense. Yeah. So,
blue-white artifacts. Let's have a chat about that and the uncommon that we've got here, mate. So, what does this one do for us?
Yeah, so Cephalopod Sentry is some pretty cool art. Looks like a cephalopod, but actually it's a bit Matrixy, squiddy, actually.
I thought that too.
Yeah. So, it is 2 white-blue for a star 5 artifact creature, Phyrexian Squid. Flying Cephalopod Sentry's power equal to the number of artifacts you control. So straight away, this just tells me that, you want to have lots of artifacts. So 4 mana, 1/5 on its own. Decent defensive body, but basically it gets cranial platinged pretty quickly in that sense where it's going to do a lot of damage in the air and 5 toughness, damage based removal, blockers and things. It's I could see this card being pretty good in a tempo sort of traditional sort of blue white flyers type deck. So yeah, I think it's a good card and absolutely
kick on.
just tells me that I want to have lots of artifacts in my deck. So
it definitely does. To me, this seems like one of the weaker ones in the cycle of signpost uncommons because it doesn't do anything. Like it's a 1/5 for 4, but if you look, and we'll get into the others, there are so many keywords on all these other uncommons that just do more. They've got activated abilities. They've got like other things that happen. This is just
it's just a beater.
It's just a big body.
But it's a dragon though, right? Like this could easily be a 4-mana 5/5.
It's a dragon with support though. Like all the other cards are good on their own.
Yeah.
Whereas this needs help.
Yeah, so
when it has help, it'll be amazing and it'll end the game in in a short amount of turns.
Yeah. So it's a synergy card. You're looking for that density of artifacts. You will want
and like
10 artifacts in your deck.
Yeah, the little white token makers are all artifacts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, look for that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Cool. So the next one we've got is Demir in blue-black. Yeah. This one's called Voidwing Hybrid, and this one looks really good to me. So this is blue-black for a 2/1. It is a Phyrexian bat with flying and toxic 1. It says, when you proliferate, return a Voidwing Hybrid from your graveyard to your hand. See, like it comes down early. It applies a bit of pressure. It's still doing 2 is worth mentioning as well. So you can just kill them with regular damage, as we've talked about with Toxic. But there's a lot of incidental proliferate that you will want out of blue and black. There's a whole stack of commons that do that. There's removal spells. There's draw spells. That are kind of the whole thing. And just getting to rebuy this, man, like for effectively free, because you want to proliferate. So it's like you go from Toxic 1, you've got Toxic 1, you have 2 poison counters now. Oh, and I get this thing back. And if you can rebuy this once, twice a game, like I'm not talking about trying to get it back 6 times. Like if you can cast it, and because it's only 2 mana, a couple of times, like that seems awesome.
I've got 3 things to say about this card. First of all, like blue-black, you won't always get to cast it on curve in limited.
True.
But if you do, it's fantastic. So assuming that you do, having this, a 2-power flyer, get those poison counters onto your opponents, cash in on those once your opponent's got 3 poison counters, you get X. So it's a great card for those synergies. So I really like that as that second point. So if you've got a lot of and that tells you, again, as a signpost, you want to look for those sort of synergies. The rebuying it is great. It lets you attack. It lets, a 2-power blocker can, often trade up in mana value, and then you can buy it back. It's going to be quite an annoying card to play against. Third and last thing, I don't think I'm quite ready for another Toxic Bat. So this card makes me nervous. Last time we had a Toxic Bat, we ended up in lockdown for a really long time. So yeah, but it's I think this card's great, and this is if you can cast this on curve, and this is why having good mana is so important. If my opponent puts this into play on turn 2 on the play in limited, I'm looking for answers, and I'm looking for exile removal and things as well. So yeah, it's this thing could do a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And like there's a card that once your opponent it has corrupted and it becomes like a 1-mana draw 2 for blue. Like it's there's some real good stuff going on there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know how possible it will be in limited to like get some early poison and then like proliferate someone out of the game, but you could probably get 2 or 3 proliferated counters on a player pretty easily. I think.
Someone at any given pre-release will lose to poison.
I think a lot of people will. Probably me.
Yeah. We know that infect rules will be putting anything with the toxic keyword into his deck and just hoping he gets right land. So yeah. But yeah, it's the thing that I like about this set. It's got poison counters, absolutely, but it's not leaning into it hard, just trying to deal 10 to somebody. It's
not infect, which was just kind of gross.
Yes, yeah. So I like it.
Cool. All right. So, Rakdos.
Ooh, Rakdos.
So, sacrifice, surprise, surprise. That is definitely the Rakdos theme. We've got a card called Charforger. Tell me about it.
Yeah, okay. So, Charforger is a 3 mana, 1 black and a red for a 2/3 Phyrexian beast. So, there you go. Can go into your beast deck and you can make it fight things with contested glyphs in Commander. There you go. When Charforger enters the... I don't know where I got that from. When Charforger enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature token. When another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on this. Remove 3 oil counters from this. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So this is, you want your things to die. Sacrificing things. You want to be aggressive and get into combat. It comes with a body when it arrives in your little sacrificial goblin, and this is like a slow draw engine, value draw engine. So yeah, this is a little bit like the blue-white one, where it's a good card with support. But I think in your average game of Magic, you'll get a card out of this, right? It replaces itself.
Yep.
And if you get 2 out of it, then you're winning. So
yeah, for sure.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. This seems really strong. I mean, the stats just stack up really well. It's 3 mana for 3/4 power and toughness.
Yeah,
the fact that it's spread
solid.
across 2 bodies is actually better in a lot of ways. And it just plays into the way that Limited does, right? You are just very battlefield focused. And I can see this in like a Grixis shell or a Jun shell, where you play it a little bit slower, and you're not even necessarily attacking with this thing. You're not trying to just bring the beats all the time, and you just accrue value. And
it's a rock card, like the classic rock archetype. Yeah,
exactly. And so like things will trade, things will die. And, if you can just kind of draw, like you said, like 1 or 2 extra cards, that's all the difference. In Limited particularly, there's not these huge swing effects that you consistently expect to see. So anywhere you can gain incremental advantage, seems great.
Absolutely. And if you've got a battlefield that's starting to gum up, drawing extra cards is a great way to get that advantage. So I like it. I don't think this is good enough for Constructed, but from a Limited perspective, I'd be happy to have this in my Rakdos deck for sure. Like it's a good Magic card in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. All right. So the next one we've got is Gruul. And Gruul is the oil counters in kind of mid-range. And this one is called the Cinder Clash Cleaver, is it?
Cinder/Ravager.
I was not even close. All right. So this is a 6 mana 5/5. So it is 4 red-green for it's another warrior. And it says this spell costs generic less to cast for each permanent you control with oil counters on it. It has vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control.
Which is pretty good. Like, there's a bunch of 1/1s running around. There's like the previous card we talked about comes with a 1/1 attached, and making the
all the tokens are 1/1s,
the drones and such. So yeah, like this is pretty cool. And this could be a 4 mana 5/5 quite easily in a game of Limited. So,
and if it is, that's awesome.
It's huge. Yeah,
4 mana 5/5 vigilance, ETB, ping everything.
Yeah. So absolutely. So this can let you have really favourable attacks by letting your smaller things trade up. It can also just clean up a whole bunch of tokens that are trying to toxic you out, and then it leaves behind a 5/5 vigilant body, which is absolutely huge. So I like that. Obviously, you're going to look for oil counters. It's a really basic synergy where have oil counters, play this guy cheap. Which is great. And if you can manage to double spell with this, if you have a number of things with oil counters and you can pair this with, say, a damage-based red removal spell, you can, team up to take down something pretty massive. So, yeah, I like this card because there's play to it. It's not just a big green beater that it looks like on its face value. There's actually a lot of opportunities to set up some sweet turns that, and some game turning or game winning turns with this thing. So,
but sometimes you'll just cast it for 6 and you won't be mad.
No, that's right.
Like,
fail
just
case,
happen,
it's a 6-mana 5/5 with vigilance that hits stuff. So like it's still a great top end of your curve in a limited deck. So yeah, I like this a lot. Again, you mentioned the previous card maybe in a Jund shell. This with the if you've got the Rakdos one and this one, you're doing it right. So you're junding them out like you are playing the rock, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's pretty awesome. So I think it's this card's good. This card's good.
Yeah, definitely good.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, over to the Selesnya Guild.
Your favorite.
It just isn't.
This card's cool though. This
actually does seem strong though. So this is Slaughter Singer, and it's kind of creepy. It
looks like the frontman of Phyrexian like metalcore, death metal band or something.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. I like it. So what's this guy do?
So it's green and white for a 2/2 with Toxic 2, which is actually a really big game. Like anything more than Toxic 2 is kind of crazy. It says whenever another creature you control with toxic attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So regular damage buff, not a toxic buff, because that would be way too good. But this thing on its own, man, this is a real threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's the 2-drop you want. A lot of the green and white cards have toxic. The black cards, some of the black cards as well. Some of the black cards as well. And just on its own, like this comes down on turn 2, similar to the Demir one that we spoke about. If this comes down on turn 2 on the play, it's going to go to work, and then when it can't attack anymore or can't get through, it is going to pump up your other dudes. But this does attack. This doesn't pump itself, but it pumps the rest of your team. So it attacks without being turned sideways in that sense. So it's a bit of a bard. It's playing the inspiring song and,
exactly.
giving all your team +1. So but probably not playing mandolin. He's got some drop D tuning there, Cracker. So
definitely no. He's down to like drop A or C or something.
Yeah. That top string's just flopping around, right? Yeah. As it should be. Yeah.
Correct. So I mean, this seems really strong with all of the white tokens that we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
It effectively makes the damage the same, whether it's damage or toxic, right? Because 2 damage is the same as toxic 1, which is what all those little nerds have got. So this is gonna, make your opponent answer it.
It's a cool take on it.
This is asking more questions.
Yeah,
it is. I really like it.
Yeah. I'd be happy to open this for sure. Yeah. And when you think about the some of the these colors, how many tokens this can create, it's it's a bit of a glorious anthem. It's a lord, that sort of effect on the attack. Not on defense, which I think is fine. That feels Phyrexian. This card's a real deal.
It is. All right, so moving over to the Orzhov colours, black, white.
This is a fun one to say. Vivisection Evangelist, which is pretty cool. So it's 3 white, black for a 4/4 Phyrexian cleric with vigilance. And so 5 and a 4/4 with vigilance. Happy with that stats. That's great. Sweet art. It has corrupted. When Vivisection Evangelist enters a battlefield, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So this is a Necrotal, or a Chupacabra, is probably the more modern example, isn't it? So 5 mana 4/4 vigilance, kill your best thing. After you've gotten in with a couple of toxic creatures and maybe proliferated once. And this is that example that we're talking about where it's not about giving people 10 poison counters. It's just about it's threshold, right?
It is.
Yeah. So meet this condition, get this. But a 5 mana 4/4 vigilance on its own without the corrupted bonus, it's still a good card. And if you're playing it on curve, then it's still going to, advance your board state and potentially win you some games. But yeah, if you can also take down their best thing, this card's pretty good. Great removal spell with a 4/4 vigilance body tacked on. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. And if you can rebuy this anyway, if you can blink it, return it to your hand, return it from, trade. So the situation that I think about this comes down, kills their best thing, then it's a 4/4 vigilance. I'm attacking every turn, right? I'm just like getting that. I want this to die so I can buy it back again and cast it again and kill their next best thing. And if it trades with something, this is potentially like 2 or 3 for 1 over the course of, a game of Sealed. So, yeah. This with Elish Norn in play, and you get to kill 2 things. But yeah, it's a magical Christmas land. But yeah, it's that. But that's the sort of thing that I'm thinking about with this. Like when I'm building my deck, I'm going, how can I rebuy this? Can I bounce this? Can I get it back from my graveyard? Can I, what can I do to get more and more value out of this? So yeah, this card. When I looked at it. When I was looking at these cards, I was like, oh yeah, that one's a bit, uninspiring. But then, the more I think about it, the better it is. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, really strong and definitely worth kind of holding on to maximize your value as well. So
absolutely. But if you
you will play it off curve. Yeah, if you need the body, of course.
If you need the body, if you're getting beat down, 5 mana 4/4 vigilance is great. And then, but to my point as well, if it can come down with those conditions, you can trade with something, maybe kill something on its way out, get a proliferate in, buy it back, meet the corrupted condition, comes in, and you're well stabilized. So don't not cast it if you can't meet the conditions, the corrupted conditions, if the game state calls for it, because that is a trap that we can fall into, where it's like, oh, but I didn't cast this because I couldn't, ETB kill something, but it's like, well, if you just cast it, it's a 4/4.
You wouldn't have lost the game.
Yeah.
You should have cast it 2 turns earlier. Yeah, if they've got 0 or 1, just jam it.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're sitting on 2 and you think you can get it, a turn late, then yeah, that's probably better. But
yeah, that's right. So yeah, but yeah, it's cool. Great card.
Very strong. All right, blue-red instant and sorcery matters.
Tell us about this one, mate. This is your colours. This is your wheelhouse.
It is. This one is called the Serum Core Chimera, which is also an interesting name. And this is 2 blue-red for a 2/4 with flying. It says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Serum Core Chimera. Remove 3 oil counters from Serum Core Chimera. Draw a card. Then you may discard a non-land card. When you discard a card this way, Serum Core Chimera deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Activate only as a sorcery. There is a paragraph of text, and I didn't think I'd be saying Chimera this many times tonight, but here we are. So, 2/4 for 4 with flying. Stats are
fine.
Okay. Yeah, they're not great. You'd hope it was 3 power, but that's all right. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a oil counter on the Chimera, and then remove 3, draw a card, discard. Honestly, dude, this seems really strong and really hard. That is a lot of instants and sorceries, and like the upside is good. You discard a 1-drop and you lightning bolt something, but in sealed.
I put this on in the same sort of level as the red-black one, where I think over the course of a game you'll deal 1 damage. You'll deal 3 damage once, right?
Sure.
if you get to do it twice, you're doing really, really well. And
well, you've cast 6 instances of sorcery, so you probably should have won somehow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think in a quote unquote, spell slinger deck, casting 3 instant sorcery plus, some of those instant sorceries may say proliferate, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, no, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So you can, cash in on that. So if you get to do it once, then, that's great. You're doing what the card, what it says on the packet. If you get to do it twice because you've got certain proliferate synergies and things, then, it turns your, 2-drop creature that's outclassed into a lightning bolt. Like, yes, sign me up.
Yeah,
right?
no.
So,
it definitely seems really strong. It just, if it's left uncontested, it will, just steal games over a number of turns.
Yeah, and for toughness helps there. But it is a bit of a lightning rod, this thing.
Yeah, for sure. And there is kind
rod.
of 4 damage spells. There's a common or uncommon black removal spell that gives -4/-4. So, it's kind of at that break point where there's some things that'll hit it and some things that won't. But yeah, seems really strong. I wouldn't expect to,
I love
get
this
rid of 3
archetype
things.
in Limited. And we had it in the previous set where you had the blue-red legend, the 1/3 that pumped your team and the serpent thing. Balmor, yeah. That was peak. That's one of the best blue-red archetypes, best supported. So I don't know if this is going to be, sort of at that power level, but I think this is definitely a 4-mana 2/4 that you get a lightning bolt, maybe 2 out of. Sign me up. I'm down. I think it's good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm playing this every time. Because it's my jam.
Yeah.
All right. So what have we got next? Black green.
Yeah, the
Golgari.
So we've got Necrogen Rot Priest, 2 black and a green for a 1/5 Phyrexian zombie cleric. Toxic 2. Mm-hmm. Just harkening back to your previous comment where, there's a big difference, double, between Toxic 1 and 2. Whenever a creature you control with Toxic deals combat damage to a player, that player gets an additional poison counter. So...
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, it's actually Toxic 3 on its own. Yep. And it has some more text. It is... Play Golgari and 1, so black, green, generic. Target creature you control with Toxic gains a death touch until end of turn. So if you've got all those little dorks that you're spitting out, they can trade up quite quickly.
This card is scary.
Yeah, this is very, very powerful, and a 1/5 that, and you can activate that ability multiple times. If you've got 6 mana, you can give 2 things, death touch. So, yeah, and a 4-mana 1/5 is, not the most exciting, but it, in the right deck, it's actually a 4-mana 3/5, which is a lot better. And it's also a Lord in that sense. So, yeah. So, again, from a design perspective, really cool take on Lords. And, rather than, Tribal Lord, elves get 1/1, sort of, that space has been well explored. This is a really cool take on it. It lets you find little synergies along the way, and this card makes me nervous in Limited. I don't want to see this on the other side of the battlefield if they've got a deck that supports it. Maybe this is going to be stronger in Draft than Sealed, perhaps. But if you're lucky enough to open the support for this thing can be an absolute house.
Yeah, I am now just going, what cards can I have that have got Trample and Toxic? because Death Touch and Trample Quite the combo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have you ever put an Embercleave on a questing beast?
No.
Oh.
Do I look like Roast to you?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Your hair's not as good, that is for sure.
That is accurate.
But yeah, that's fun. Like, yeah, that's that. Yeah, you want to like gutturally like say gruel every time you do it. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, that's that with the green white one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, this thing seems unreal. Really, really strong. Does need support, but again, like just hard to kill.
What I like about this as well, like the black-green archetype, as advertised, is also reanimation as well. So you can give something death touch and then buy it back with another spell, and so again, you're junding them out. It's that just incremental value, recursive threats, recursive removals like in the form of death touch. So yeah, this is cool. Very, very cool. I like it.
Me too. All right. So the next one we have got in the list is red, white, aggressive. So
do we have to?
Yeah.
I like aggressive red, white decks in general in Magic. They've just not been good in limited for ever, right? Like when was the last time like an equipment synergy deck was good? And I'm just you've got to have the equipment. You got to put it on a creature. You got to spend mana on that, so you're not advancing your board. The because they've made some mistakes with equipment, right? Like they've printed Umezawa's Jute and things, so
sure.
they've dialed it back, and it just hasn't been worth it, right? To play play my 2-drop, and my 3-drop is a piece of equipment that I can equip on turn 4 and attack with my 2-drop. It's already outclassed, or one removal spell, and all of a sudden I've got nothing going on. Yeah. So, and like vehicles were better and things like that. So, but we're here again for better or worse. And yeah, tell me about Bladehold War Whip. Like, sell me on it.
All right, I'll do my best. So this is 1 red-white for a artifact equipment. This has the ability of 4 Mirrodin, which we talked about. So when it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 red rebel token creature and attach this to it. And it says equipped abilities you activate of other equipment cost 1 less to activate. Equipped creature has double strike, and its equip cost. Oh man, I was going to try so hard to see on this, but it is 3 red, white, and that does not get discounted by its own thing because it's other equipment. So this is a 2/2 with double strike for 1 red, white. So the rate is actually pretty decent, honestly. Like if it's just a 3-mana 2/2 double strike, that's not horrible. The ability seems inconsequential in limited. Particularly in sealed, the likelihood of you having a whole stack of equipment that you're going to want to attach is pretty slim, I think. So,
So this is a bit of an update on the germs, the living weapon.
Yeah, living weapon. Yep.
Yeah, so that's okay. I'll probably put this in my red white equipment commander deck because it discounts stuff. But
yeah.
And coming down attached to a creature, like if this didn't have that text and it had a cheaper equip cost, I think it'd actually be worse, right? Like if it didn't have the Familiar text, it just said equips cheaper, it has double strike and equip for
1 red white again.
Yeah, like it would actually be a worse card.
Yep.
So I guess it's it gives you something to do with your mana because you've got a low curve. So my 2/2 died. I can equip this to my next big thing and attack, but doesn't.
So the problem I have with red white aggressive decks in sealed in particular is you invariably end up in mid-range soup, right? They just do. So you don't get a critical mass of aggressive 1-drops and removal spells to be able to have early damage and then push it through and continue to do what you need to do, and then burn someone out with, 3 lightning bolts or lightning strikes or whatever like there'll be a 4 mana deal 3 or something like that. There's always, bad burn spells.
Yeah.
But the problem is that particularly in sealed, in draft, it can happen. There have been formats where that is absolutely the correct thing to be doing. But the majority of the time, you end up in these mid-range battles and, on turn 4, your opponent's playing green. Hey, look, they've got a 4/4, or they've played a 1/5. What do you do? How do you beat a 1/5 that's got, poison too? So, like, these decks, they start really early, and unless they can go super wide and have some sort of, like, overrun effect, there is some battle cry stuff in their set, so that is worth knowing about. But for the most part, they end up, the majority of their time, lacking the punch to get through those last few things.
Yeah. And maybe we're looking at this in the context of sealed. This could be a lot different in draft, where you're picking those synergies up and things. So, but for your pre-release, steer away from red white unless you've been absolutely fed. With the deck kind of builds itself, but it's not. And look, considering
the good versions of this will crush. You will just absolutely hammer opponents because they'll be stumbling looking for their third color or something like that, and you'll just
but the
get them dead.
Floors are really low as well, right? So
correct, yeah. All right.
Red, white.
So
is that all of them? No, we've got
blue green.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's just, we haven't
Simic.
seen anything in Simic for the last few years, So, so Tainted Observer, 1 a blue green for a 2/3 Phyrexian bird with flying. Also has Toxic 1, and it says whenever another creature whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, proliferate. Oh boy. This is a card. Like 3 mana, 2/3 flyer, Toxic 1. Great. Does exactly what you want it to do. This is going to get your opponent to multiple poison counters really, really quickly, just by just casting dudes and sinking some mana in and proliferating.
It turns every creature to kicker to proliferate.
Yes. Yeah. And that's huge. Like this card's gas. This might be the best card out of the signpost uncommons? Question mark.
I don't know.
It's in the top 3 for me at least. Maybe the blue black one's better. But the green black one. But yeah. I want to play this in a deck with the green black one.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things where you're not going to trigger this every turn. You can't afford it. Modern limited formats, the bad cards, in quote, are not bad anymore, right? Like, you don't run out of playables, and you will be cutting cards from your deck that 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, would have been, really strong in the format, and now they're just kind of the draft chaff, if you would. So you don't get to take multiple turns off in order to pay your kicker cost, right? So it'll be like the other ones where we said if you can get it once or twice and you get that extra little bit of value, and there's a bunch of stuff in blue corrupted in it, so if you can get to that extra one that you need to start turning on those effects, and really strong for sure.
Yeah, I think it's good. And look, fail case, a 3 mana 2/3 flyer with Toxic 1 is a good card. And then but this has got the potential to really run away with games.
It does, and all it asks you to do is the thing you're going to be doing anyway.
Exactly.
Right? Is casting more creatures, and then maybe if you get the opportunity to sink some extra mana in, then upside. So very strong. Whereas you don't need, like the blue-white one, right? You need to have artifacts and they need to stay in play and all that sort of stuff. This is the course of a limited game. That's what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah, and calling back to the archetype descriptions, there's some ramp in these colours as well. So you may have some ramp spells which mean that extra 2 mana is easier to come by. So, and it says, it doesn't say non-token creature either. So, if you can, have an effect that generates tokens regularly, this can do some work. Yeah,
very much so. So we're talking about those are all the archetypes, and we're kind of at nearly an hour already. So we might kind of skip along to the next couple of things. There's some thing cards and artifacts in particular. There's a bunch of colorless stuff that are worth highlighting. You've talked about ramp a couple of times. So there's some colorless ramp that you should look at or fixing. So one is Phyrexian Atlas, which is 3 generic mana at a common, which is nice. It says tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then it has Corrupted. Whenever Phyrexian Atlas becomes tapped, each opponent with 3 or more poison counters loses 1 life. This is just straight up mana rock and fixing. Play this in every deck. Like, whether you're going to have Corrupted or not, I don't think it matters. If you're 2 or 3 colors, just jam this.
Yeah, like it's Manolith, right, that we saw. And if you are more than 2 colors, I think this is a pretty easy include. And if you're 2 colors with that needs to ramp, then this is also great. And then if you can ping your opponent for 1 or 2 damage over the course of the game, awesome, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's pure just gravy there. But yeah, a 3 mana fixer / ramp. If you're playing 3, maybe even 4 colors in sealed, this and Terramorphic Expanse are the cards that you want in your deck.
Yeah, the other one in that space is Prophetic Prism, which is a card we've seen a bunch of times. So 2 mana, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then it's
you can filter
correct. Yeah. So so it doesn't add mana of itself, but it is colorless tap, and you add 1 mana of any color. So it lets you get that splash, do that little bit of fixing that you need to, and it just cycles. It draws a card.
It's actually an important card in the blue-white deck because
very
it
much
replaces itself, finds more artifacts, and so that's the sort of 2-drop that you want out of that archetype for sure.
Yeah. So the other ones that I thought we should chat about in terms of being commons are the spell bombs. So we've seen spell bombs in the past, and these ones are all 1 mana spells. They're all 1 mana artifacts, and they've all got an activated ability for a single generic mana, which says sacrifice sacrifice Furnace spell bomb, which is the red one, and it says draw a card. So just, again, artifacts that can sit around. If you're in the blue-white deck, then that's great because you've got artifact synergies. If you're in the black-red deck, there's sacrifice artifact synergies. So there's that kind of stuff, which is pretty nice. And, sometimes just drawing an extra card can do what you want. But the important thing is they've all got a coloured activated ability as well. So for Furnace Skull Bomb, it's 1 and a red, sacrifice it, put 2 oil counters on target artifact or creature you control, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery. So they all have the rider of sacrifice, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery, and then they do a thing that is in line with the thing that the colours want to do.
But so if you think about this Furnace Skull Bomb back with the I'm going to get the name of it this time because I just keep saying with Char Forger because I need to learn the names. So whenever an artifact goes to the graveyard, you get an oil counter. This also adds other oil counters. This draws multiple cards when paired with the uncommon as well. So,
yeah, because that gets you 2-3 oil counters immediately.
Yeah, and you've drawn a card off this as well. So so 2 mana, draw 2 cards. So 3 mana, draw 2 cards in red black.
But in installments, so you don't have to pay 3 mana all at once, which is really nice.
Exactly.
So the other one that seems really good is the black one. Actually, they've all got some amount of utility, but the black one we've talked about kind of reanimation stuff, and this is 2 and a black, sacrifice it, return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery. So it's just a Gravedigger over 2 turns, but it draws you a card. It effectively draws you 2 cards for 4 mana. Really, really good. And at common, man. Common, that's the thing that gets me. So you're going to see a lot of these, and you should think really hard about playing at least one and possibly more in your deck, depending on, you know, the synergy and how well it matches what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
Cool.
So what are you hoping to open? What bomb? What bomb do you want to open?
Bomb? I don't know. I haven't kind of memorized all of the... There's a lot of really strong stuff. I just hope that there's some cohesive things that I've got going there. But I think maybe I think I'd like to build the black, blue, black. Proliferate kind of poison deck. So open a Venser. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm interested in the Abzan or the can't remember the name of the wedge. The black, blue, green. The same
Sultai?
sort of thing. Yeah, Sultai. I think like playing that sort of long grindy game is super appealing. But individual cards, I would like to open just raw power purely from a sealed perspective. Argentum Mastercore.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that one too.
Yeah, 5 mana, 5/5 first strike, protection from multicolored. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice is unless you discard a card. That's a Mastercore thing. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. So this is, you know, I could play this 4/4 dude, or I could like kill your best thing and attack with my 5/5 first striker. So it's and you know, 5 mana 5/5 first strike with a protection clause and a drawback, fine. But the drawback's also got an upside. But this, from a limited / sealed perspective, this is an absolute powerhouse. So I hope I open this as one of my rares.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I just noticed is the common land cycle. So what do you think about these ones? So we've got one for each colour. They've all got names like, you know, the Dross Pit and the Fair Basilica. So they all enter the battlefield tapped. They tap for one of each colour, or one of the colour, I should say. So, you know, the Fair Basilica taps for white. But then it's got an activate ability of 1 white tap, sacrifice, draw a card.
Great.
What do you think?
Sealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm playing these in sealed
Yep.
every time. It's, you know, you often end up with extra lands because you're playing 17 lands in your 40 card deck and the games are going to go long. You're going to have opportunity to, you know, cycle these for a fresh card. So I think they're good.
Yeah, agreed. Jam them in. And you'll probably be sad if you open one of the rare lands because they almost are never the colours you want and you wish you'd got something that was actually playable. But, you know, value.
Yeah, the Black Cleave Cliffs will be thrown at you.
Fine. Okay. One thing that I remember, we went to, I don't remember what set it was, but we went to a pre-release and a guy that I was sitting next to was like, oh, I opened Ob Nixilis. And so that was the 5 mana Ob, and he was one of the best planeswalkers in the set. Like he was huge in standard and stuff.
Yeah, he was great. Yep.
And he just went, oh man, that sucks. I don't want to open this. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's probably one of the best bombs in the set. Like, I would love to have that card. And he's like, yeah, but I don't play these colors. And I was just like, what? So as much as I like to meme on the fact that I don't like playing Selesnya or whatever, don't do that. Don't go in thinking I'm going to play these colors or I'm only going to do. Don't. Just play the best cards that you have.
Absolutely. And that is one of the fundamental skills of Limited as well. Like, if you go in going, I only play X, you're tying your shoelaces together if you're trying to play Limited. So, absolutely, look at all of your cards and look, maybe you'll like the other colours a little bit too. And yeah, away you go. So, yeah. But yeah, don't hamper yourself.
No, please. I'll tell you what you should do, though, is you should go to a pre-release, support your local store, wherever that may be, and then take photos of your deck and post it in the Limited channel on our Discord.
Or link in the description here in the show notes, yes.
Correct. Because we love it. We are pumped to see this, and it's always fun to see what, people get to do. And like, I'll post my O3 deck. Don't worry. But it'll be heaps of fun. So yeah, get involved, jump in the Discord, come hang out. That is one of the best places to get in touch with us. Otherwise, you can go to magicbeanscast.com. That has, again, in the show notes, kind of the best place to get hold of us. But we stream on Twitch when Shorty's internet doesn't die. We've also got a YouTube channel, Facebook page. We have Twitter. It's just Magic Beans Cast everywhere you can find us. Please don't forget to check out the auctions that Pat will have coming up. He always does giveaways at the start of a new set as well. So be sure to check those out. And, he gives away boxes and stuff like that. So check out jpmtgbazaar.com and tell them that the Beans sent you if you win stuff.
And do you know what else Josh and Pats do? They sponsor our leagues, which are kicking off very, very shortly. The 2023 Magic Beans Tournament Series. And a bit different this year.
It is.
So we have got a new way to sign up with our new structure. You need to join our Discord, which is always a requirement. And, if you're not in our Discord, get in there. You're missing out. And there we'll post I'll tweet it, and I'll post a screenshot in the announcement channel, just in case you've got some things minimized. But there is a tournament series channel with a registration thread, and all you need to do is click the green tick and you're signed up. That's it. You're ready to go. So, shout out J-Mud, who's done a bunch of work behind the scenes with Shorty, and got this up and running. So, literally like one click to register for our free event, and it kicks off on Super Bowl day, actually.
The 13th of February.
Yes, so not very far away at all, just a couple of weeks away. So a couple of weeks after the new set's out, so it's a chance to play some limited, build up your collection on Arena, and then jump in to our league and battle it out for a bunch of prizes and a chance to win yourself a seat at the Invitational at the end of the year, which is always epic.
I'm excited, man. I'm really looking forward to getting to battle a bunch of people. Was one of the things that you kind of ran out of matches with some of the smaller groups that we ended up with the last couple of weeks. So it'll be sweet to just be able to play against kind of everyone in the community. So it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be awesome, and we'll do some streams through the week. Shorty will stream and try to get some matches done. So if you're playing those matches on a Monday night, stream them to Discord. Shorty will do some commentary on them. It'll be super fun. Yeah, it's a great thing. So get on it. Awesome.
I think that about does it. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. So please.
Well, how our pre-release goes.
We will. But yeah, we'll be in the Discord. We'll tell you all about it. We'll give people updates during the rounds and stuff. So yeah, get involved. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.